list.
Are you 100% in, Brock, on the Seahawks taking an offensive lineman at 18 or wherever they pick first if they trade back or whatever? Do they have to do that? How will you feel if the Seahawks don't draft an offensive lineman with their first pick that they have in this year's draft? Part of the reason I was thinking about this for two reasons yesterday. One is that what if all these guys aren't available? I was looking at Dane Brugler's draft this morning that he put together post-combine. I don't think you're going to like it at all.
Oh, great.
Let me run through just a little of this.
Okay.
He's got Cam Ward going number 1 to the Giants in a trade. Abdul Carter, the edge rusher, 2 to Cleveland. And then Tennessee takes Travis Hunter. Anyway, he's got Armand Membu number 4 to the Patriots.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, number 4.
Yeah.
Teams are warming up to the idea that Membo could go this high. His tape is good enough. His testing was more than good enough. So, yeah.
Okay.
Will Campbell, who Hawk Blogger talked about yesterday, number 5. Guard tackle out of LSU to Jacksonville, number 5. Yeah.
Yeah, the NFL is a copycat league. We know
Shamar
that.
Stewart, number 8. That's a defensive end, but okay.
Yep.
Tyler Warren goes number 9 in this scenario. Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama,
Yeah.
number 10
Oh, great.
to the Bears.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Number 10 to the Bears.
Great.
Another tight end, another edge player, corner, linebacker. Okay, yeah, Seahawks. Jahad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama, number 18. Though his off-ball instincts are still developing, Campbell didn't post 117 tackles last year on accident. His explosive speed and finishing skills are traits that make him a playmaker in the front 7. So in this scenario, your guy Gray Zabel is still available. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't see him as a first-round pick. He's got Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, going number 24 to Minnesota. Gray Zabel going 25 to Houston. So there are other guys that when Kenneth Grant is available in this scenario at 28. So, if those guys do go early, it does push some of the other names down a little bit. But I guess the reason I bring it up is A, some of the guys that you want might not be available in this copycat league.
Yep.
And B, I'm not done thinking that defense and specifically defensive line is their opportunity to be dominant in one category.
Yep. Just like we watched a season ago with this run on quarterbacks, and all of a sudden you had your pick of the litter really defensively with where you wanted to go. Latu goes right before Myron, and you're able to get, your biggest need at that point, your perceived biggest need with what you thought was the best player on the board. And if there's a run on all these offensive linemen and tight ends, because look at what Brock Bowers has done in Vegas, and look at what Philadelphia has done year after year after year in reinforcing those trenches and these teams that need to now support a bunch of these young quarterbacks and build up those offensive lines. Yeah, I think by the time we get there in 6-7 weeks, that's a very realistic possibility. There's going to be a big-time run on offensive linemen. So are you going to take a little lesser offensive lineman grade? Is that your have to? Do you just have to get an offensive lineman?
That would really bum me out.
Or if one of these D tackles or this linebacker, Jihad from Alabama, who's an off-ball linebacker plus a pass rusher and nickel edge rusher as well, right? If you just have a tremendous grade on one of these guys, what about the safety from South Carolina if he falls? Right, if he's sitting there at 18 and you've got that grade, if John Schneider,
he's an A, he's a legit star.
Yes,
yeah, that one would still be a little hard for me just because he plays off the ball. At some point you're like, geez, just get the trenches set. But part of the reasoning for going offensive line first is that there are just so many similar defensive linemen in this draft. Here was Daniel Jeremiah with us a couple weeks ago.
It's not talking about the edge guys. Defensive tackles. So I've never had anything close to that. And so to put it in perspective, I went back and went through last year's list, and I had 12. It's literally twice as many.
So he's got twice as many starting defensive tackles in this draft as he did a year ago, which also led him to say that there's no way he would bring in a defensive lineman in free agency. But what if you get an offensive lineman in free agency? What if you do start, as Nemheiser said yesterday, what if you do start by
signing Drew Dahlman?
Starting Drew Dahlman. Now you got your center taken care of.
That's right.
Do you now have to go guard at the first-round pick? Or could you go defensive tackle there?
Yeah, this is where, and I know this is early, and this will build and build and build. We will do draft prospects. We will kind of build a lot of conversations around these John Schneider shows with Wyman and Bob every afternoon, and we'll build to this. But my sense in just watching and covering John over all of these years is he just talks about these cliffs, right? He talks about these groupings of players. And I think what you're going to find, Salk, is, if you take Drew Dahlman, and that this is what Hawk Blogger's also been around it, like you take him, you solve that, you don't have a have to. Then all of a sudden at 18 and then into the second round, you get those best players available, and there's going to be a large grouping, like a bunch of halibut, as I always say, down there on the ocean floor. Once there's a little cliff, you want to be right on the other side of that thing where they're all kind of gathered right there where the food is going to fall to them, where you've got that big gathering of prospects, and all of a sudden you take that second round guard and you still feel really, really good about it.
Yeah, JD in the 509 texts in, Salk, what if drafting a wide receiver at 18 ends up making the DK deal happen? Would you still be a hard pass? Yes. Do people not listen to me when I talk? Is that the problem?
No, I think part of the problem is the way you just say it right there. Like you read into these texts. You use mumble jumble voice yesterday in the opening segment. Right there, how do you know? He says, Salk. What if he just says Salk?
There's an exclamation point.
Okay, but there's not.
I'm reading it with an exclamation
there's
point.
Not, okay, then say Salk. He doesn't say Salk.
He's
There's not a bunch of other
to me,
A's.
Salk. What if drafting a wide receiver at 18 ends up making the DK deal happen? Would you still be a hard pass? Yes.
No.
Yes, I would. Do people, honestly, I feel like people don't listen to me. If anybody out there thinks that my
What if
idea
he's saying, Salk? What if he's saying you Salk? No, this is what I'm talking about. You trade, you get that extra first round pick, you still get your guard, and then you fill it with a guy that you love at receiver.
The whole idea of trading DK Metcalf is to change the way your team is built. It is to change your roster construction. It is not because I don't like DK Metcalf.
But Salk, we need stars. Just get the best players available. Don't get into have-tos.
Are you sure there's not a have-to still at guard, even if they sign Dahlman? How quickly we forget Satawa Lamea and his 1.6
I know. It's awful.
passer grade.
Absolutely awful.
But Lyle.
but Lyle.
Because Christian Haynes wasn't good enough.
Well, yeah, although Brady did say yesterday, and we're going to talk to Brady in 20 minutes, that the new scheme could help Christian Haynes. Something better, because he was drafted last year to
Hold
new
on, was
Jack
that Brady?
spot.
Or, I think that was Hawk Blogger.
Oh, was it? I'm
missed
confusing the two.
Salk.
Really?
Salk.
I can't remember these things. Jeez. Salk, you're just learning that people don't listen? No, I think I've known it for a while, but I just occasionally get frustrated by it. Anyway, no, I don't know. Look, I understand that. That's a totally valid point of view. It's just that, you got other needs. You know what would be really nice? If you had a second first-round pick. Yeah, that would really give you the opportunity to do what you need to do at two different positions rather than having
like receiver and guard.
A great receiver.